6 people lay dead across a barn and a farmhouse, but the person who killed them didn't run away. Instead, they settled in. For 3 days, the killer slept under the same roof, ate food from the kitchen, and even went out to the barn to feed the cattle. This happened in March 1922 at a small, heavily wooded farmstead in Bavaria, Germany, known as Hinterkaifeck. It was nearly a mile away from the nearest town, boxed in by dense woods. The victims were the Gruber and Gabriel family, Andreas and Cecilia, their widowed daughter Victoria, her 2 young children, and the family maid. Because the farm was so remote and the killer kept up the illusion of normal life, no one discovered their bodies until neighbors organized a search party on April 4th. When that search party arrived, they immediately compromised the scene. Before the police could arrive, neighbors wandered through the house, moved the bodies, and even prepared and ate meals in the kitchen. The killer's bizarre comfort at the scene, combined with the total destruction of forensic evidence, essentially sealed the case's fate. Germany's most infamous crime would remain a collection of unsolvable anomalies. Fast forward to 2007. Students at the Fürstenfeldbruck Police Academy reopened the 1922 files to see if modern investigative techniques could finally make sense of the evidence. The students confirmed that the sloppy initial investigation made a legal conviction impossible, but independently, they all arrived at the exact same prime suspect. They chose not to name him publicly out of respect for his living descendants. The official report hides the name, but the underlying logic is clear. By running the killer's recorded patterns through a cold case matrix, we can see exactly who the Academy students identified. First, there is the premeditation. 6 months before the attack, the family's original maid quit because she heard strange noises in the attic and believed the house was haunted. Then, in March 1922, Andreas Gruber found a newspaper from Munich on the property that no one in the family had purchased. Just days before the killings, Andreas told neighbors he found a trail of footprints in the fresh snow. They led straight from the edge of the forest to the farm's machine room door, but there were no tracks leading back out. The execution was methodical. On the night of March 31st, 4 members of the family were lured out to the barn in the dark, one by one, and killed. The attacker used a heavy agricultural tool called a mattock, striking all 6 victims in the head. The weapon was later found hidden deep in the farm's attic. The attacker left a massive amount of cash in the house, ruling out a robbery. Instead, the evidence points towards someone who knew how to operate the farm machinery, where the tools were kept, and, crucially, someone the family's aggressive guard dog allowed to stay. This diagram shows our suspect matrix. We have 3 prominent figures investigated by police: Karl Gabriel, Paul Mueller, and Lorenz Schlittenbauer, evaluated against the recorded behavior of the killer. We start with Karl Gabriel, Victoria's supposedly deceased husband. Andreas and Victoria had a widely known incestuous relationship, giving Karl a clear motive for revenge. But Karl was reported killed in action in France 8 years prior. While rumors claimed he faked his death, fellow soldiers positively identified his body on the field. Next is Paul Mueller, a suspect proposed by modern authors. Mueller was a German immigrant and suspected serial killer who had a matching signature for destroying whole families with the blunt edge of farm tools. But the profile of a traveling stranger contradicts the behavior at the scene. A transient drifter would not stay for 3 days to perform farm chores, and the family's guard dog would not have remained silent. That leaves Lorenz Schlittenbauer. He was a neighboring farmer, Victoria's former lover, and the suspected father of baby Joseph. At the time of the murders, he was locked in a bitter financial dispute with the family over child support. He is the only suspect who aligns with every recorded anomaly. His behavior during the discovery was highly suspicious. When the search party arrived, they had to break through a gate to get inside the barn. But after finding the bodies, Schlittenbauer walked right up to the farmhouse, unlocked the front door with a key, which had gone missing days earlier, and entered the house entirely alone. Years later, he continued to reveal intimate details. In 1925, a teacher caught Schlittenbauer wandering the ruins of the farm. When asked why he was there, Schlittenbauer remarked that the killer couldn't bury the bodies in the barn because the ground had been frozen solid, a fact he could only know if he had been there that night. Schlittenbauer possessed the motive, the missing keys, knew the farm's inner workings, and trusted by a dog that barked at every stranger. We will never have a legal conviction. In 1923, the Hinterkaifeck farm was entirely demolished, erasing the physical crime scene and any remaining evidence. The last pieces of hard proof met a similar fate. During the autopsies, the victims' skulls were removed and sent to Munich for analysis. They were stored in the city's archives, only to be lost forever during the bombings of the Second World War. This is what the 2007 Police Academy students were up against. The physical evidence was incinerated by war, but the recorded actions of the killer survived in the files, leaving historians and modern investigators pointing almost exclusively at Lawrence Schlittenbauer. The tragedy of Hinterkaifeck is a cautionary tale of early forensics. The killer was likely standing right there in the barn with the search party. But the failure to secure the scene allowed a mass murderer to step out of the barn and disappear into the historical record.